Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I'm in a blue suit and dressed to the nines, so that can only mean one thing. It's the Rolex Submariner unboxing review video. All nicks and scratches will be revealed, plus my thoughts on ownership in the last 9 months. Hope you guys enjoy it. Videos to follow. Welcome to my long-awaited Rolex Submariner date review, model number 116610LN. You may have noticed in the thumbnail of this video that I've used the term Prime Rolex and could be wondering, what do I mean by this? Well, this could be a world's first, so for my viewers, I'm specifically referring to the Rolex sports watch family of models including the Yacht Master II, the Sea Dweller, the Yacht Master, Submariner and Explorer. Now I'm not sure if everyone will agree with me inventing a term like this to describe a particular family of Rolex sports watches. However, do let me know what you think of this term in the comments, as it would be interesting to hear your views. Now, box and papers has been quite the subject of discussion recently, and in my case, I'm quite a stickler for ensuring that I always have my box and papers. I think having your box and papers, delivers a message to anyone that potentially wants to buy the watch in future, or just anyone that's perhaps maybe looking at your collection and wants to get an understanding of how you've cared for those watches or what they actually mean to you. And things like this are massively important. Having a full set of box and papers really helps to maintain the resale values of the watches that you may have in your possession or collection. So I'm now going to begin unboxing my watch. And I'm sure you can see the Rolex emblem imprinted in the box, and it's a cream coloured box, and it's very modest actually in its appearance, especially when you compare it to perhaps the Tudor box, which I think is slightly more, it's just a bit more to the box and the way it looks, etc., and its styling. But of course the Rolex is a bit more of a classical brand, so you wouldn't expect anything too outlandish in the design. So I open the bottom flap, and you can see the Rolex sign printed in. And I'm going to take the Rolex box out, and as you can see, it's got the classic Rolex green. Of course, I bought my watch from Harrods, so this is the slip that they give you when you get your receipt, etc. You may notice when I originally bought my Rolex that I ripped the outer covering, so it's kind of annoying, but with the best will in the world, sometimes these things happen, and it's not the end of the world. The main thing that is there. So if I just open the box, I should be able to display the watch itself. And what a fantastic watch. So the watch itself has got a ceramic bezel, and it's got large luminescent hour markings with white gold edging that look absolutely fantastic, dazzling to be fair. Also, when you take it out, you'll notice that the watch really pops, and that's in no small part to the sapphire crystal glass that covers the watch face, but also the fantastic ceramic bezel, which, unlike older models, it doesn't really fade with time in the same way, so as long as you look after it, it always looks absolutely fantastic. Now, in terms of the size of the watch has a diameter of 40 millimeters and a thickness of 13 millimeters. It also has a solid but not uncomfortable weight of 165 grams. You really feel like you've got a solid piece of the finest crafting that you could imagine. Now, if you look closely at the dial, you'll see Rolex quality in every little minute detail within the watch. Every letter, every integer is supremely crafted, and the standard is absolutely astonishing. If you look at the seconds hand in silo, you'll see that it appears to be running smoothly, but it's also such a precise little judder as it goes through each second. I don't know, the level of finishing, the level of workmanship that has gone into these watches is just amazing. Now, one of the reasons I'm always so enamored by the black Rolex Submariner was the fact that when I was young, I don't know if you ever watched the film or the James Bond film, Live and Let Die. Well, the Rolex Submariner with the black face is the very same watch that James Bond used. His model number was the 5513. Now, this watch was so special, and it was a watch that was upgraded for him by Q. And this watch had a fantastic magnetic field generator. But also, if you look at the bezel, in James Bond's watch, the bezel could be used as a secondary power saw. And this watch was just so amazing because it helped James Bond escape many tricky situations with his captors at various points in the film. And to this day, I'm so happy to be able to get my own Bond watch, albeit without the gadgets that obviously Bond's watch came with. But it's also why this watch was one of my favourite watches in the whole wide world, especially when I was younger. So I'm going to move on to more of the specifics of the watch itself. And this watch has got Rolex's in-house 3135 movement, which has a fantastic 48-hour power reserve. Now, if you look at the steel case itself, after 9 months of wearing this weekly, 2 or 3 times a week, you'll notice the watch has very little signs of wear and tear. And that's amazing considering I didn't baby this watch in the way that you might imagine. I tried to use it as freely as possible without, of course, doing anything that I could to make sure that I did my best not to damage it. If you look closely at the case of the watch here, there's barely a scratch on it, which is mighty impressive given the amount of times I wore this watch. However, I do have a few annoying scratches on the top of the oyster bracelet. And guys, look, if you wear your watch, you're going to scratch it. You're not going to be able to keep it completely pristine. The oyster bracelet itself is designed to be a mix of form and function. And whilst I prefer aesthetically the Jubilee bracelet, I think the oyster steel bracelet that we see is perfect for the Rolex Submariner. The bracelet comes complete with Rolex's gridlock system, and it just gives you the ability to simply fit the watch according to your personal needs on the wrist without too much complication, which I think is a fantastic feature of this watch. There was one surprise that I noted on the watch that I wasn't expecting. If you look at the calendar date function, I noted that in my particular watch, the date doesn't change bang on 12 AM. It actually changes at around 12:05 AM. I have to say initially I was quite surprised, but when I did some reading up on it, this was something that was quite common in Rolex Submariners. I'm not sure about the rest of the Rolex range, but yeah, my watch doesn't change date until around 12:05, as you can see in the demonstration here. Now, an interesting fact about the Rolex Submariner. As you may or may not know, it was originally designed as a dive watch. So this watch is fully waterproof, not water resistant because that's something different. This watch is fully waterproof up to a depth of 300 meters or 1,000 feet. However, in this day and age, I wouldn't really recommend that you use a watch like this to go diving. But of course, if you ever did, it's perfectly able to cope with it. Now I'm just demonstrating the way my watch looks like on the wrist, and as you can see, it never fails to dazzle. There's no situation you can be in where this watch doesn't fit, and more often than not, it's the defining piece of any outfit that I'll be wearing at any given time. Now there's something I'd like to bring to the attention of you, the viewers, and this may apply across the Rolex family of watches, but when I bought this watch back in September, I paid approximately, I think it was around 6,500 direct from Harrods. But in 2020, it looks like the sports watch models of Rolex have increased from 6,500. So from that perspective, I'm really happy that I bought the watch then and not now. I really wasn't expecting such a hefty increase in price year on year. And it just so happened that I got lucky and got one last year. I don't know what that means for 2021, but we'll see. But yes, it's quite a steep uplift, and hopefully that doesn't continue for those that haven't bought or been able to buy their Rolex just yet, because it just means these watches are becoming less and less accessible as each year passes. So just to finish off, I'm going to show what else comes in a box when you've purchased your Rolex from a Rolex store or AD. And as at 2019, this is the exact package that you expect to receive when you buy a Rolex from an authorized dealer. So you can see your certification tag. And of course, I've taken out 3 lugs of my bracelet. So just to give you an indication of how my watch fits on my wrist. In the top pouch here, this is where your guarantee card and your instructions are going to be. Now, you're probably going to find your instructions are really useful. So take care of them because you're really going to need them so that you know how to operate your watch in the correct manner. Now, from a quality perspective, if I just demonstrate how crisply the bezel clicks when you turn it, it's magnificent, isn't it? That's such a great sound. And it's much the same when you wind the watch too. And when I wind it, you may just hear the clicking. How clear and precise is that? You really know that you've bought a fantastic piece of quality when you purchase a watch such as this from a brand such as Rolex. So I'd just like to finish off this review by saying one or two things. And I've seen a number of videos recently where it's been suggested that there are a number of brands such as Zenith, Glacier Original, Omega and Grand Seiko that have created watches which are perhaps more technically advanced and maybe slightly more accessibly priced than a Rolex, and in fact may be the better choice. But one thing I'm absolutely sure these other watchmakers can't recreate is the feeling of emotion, pride and satisfaction that comes with having such a wonderful piece like a Rolex. And absolute knowledge that not only are you wearing a brilliant piece, possibly the perfect piece. That's the end of my video today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe because that really helps the channel. Also, if you want to have a chance of winning a fantastic pair of Apple AirPods Pros, please watch my last video, links in the description with details of how to enter. That's it for me for now. See you next time.